The moment Sasha stepped out of the car, the sun hit her full in the face, warm, golden, and mocking. It should have been a beautiful day. Instead, her heart dropped when Liam didn't even wait for her. He was already halfway across the parking lot, adjusting his tailored suit, not once looking back. "Hurry," he snapped over his shoulder, "and don't cause a scene." She blinked, unsure. "What do you mean?" Inside the venue, glittering lights and the sound of violins filled the air. Everyone was dressed in soft pastels and polished shoes. Laughter bounced from wall to wall, but Liam's hand barely brushed hers as he led her toward the far corner of the hall. "Sit here," he muttered, pointing to a lonely chair behind a potted plant. "You'll be more comfortable here. Less noticed." Sasha stared at the seat, a folding chair, no cushion, tucked near the exit. "But I thought I'd be sitting with you, with the family," she whispered. Liam didn't even look at her. "Just stay there, Sasha. Please, don't make this about you." And just like that, he was gone, swallowed into a crowd that didn't notice she'd stopped breathing. Her hands trembled as she sat, heart thudding like a drum beat in a war zone. Around her, guests began to murmur. Dresses swished, suits passed. No one met her eyes. 1,000 lights in the hall, but in that corner Sasha sat in shadow, alone, invisible, uninvited to her own life. Sasha sat still, afraid even to adjust her dress. The soft rustle of chiffon and quiet chuckles drifted from nearby tables, but none came near her corner. Her chair creaked when she shifted. Even that small sound made her wince. Then she heard it. "She's his wife? Really?" A young woman at a nearby table giggled, eyes wide. Another leaned in, whispering, "I mean, how did that happen?" He could have done better. Their words sliced clean. Sasha turned away, pretending not to hear. Her eyes fixed on a flower arrangement next to her, its vibrant petals mocking her stillness. Her chest tightened. She pressed her hands against her lap. Don't cry here." A server passed by, didn't stop, didn't offer her a drink. She thought about leaving, standing up, just walking out the door. But where would she go? Her gaze drifted across the room. Liam stood with his brother Caleb, both laughing, glasses raised. Liam didn't glance once toward her. Not once. Why did he bring me if he didn't want me seen? Her thoughts raced. Her body felt foreign, like she didn't belong in her own skin. The dress she'd carefully picked now clung too tightly, every seam a reminder of the whispers that weren't even whispered anymore. She could feel their eyes on her, but no one spoke to her, not a soul. Only the silence of shame, louder than any music. The scent of roses from the centerpieces made her dizzy. It reminded her of the bouquet she once carried down a church aisle, hands shaking as Liam waited at the altar with a stiff smile. "You sure you want to wear that?" he had said before the ceremony, adjusting her veil. "The lace makes you look broader." It wasn't the first comment, and it wouldn't be the last. Sasha stared into her lap now, but her mind replayed moments like a broken film reel. The birthday dinner where he ordered her a salad before she could speak. The beach trip he canceled, saying, "You wouldn't enjoy it. You'd feel self-conscious anyway." He always said it with a grin, or a soft laugh, like he was helping her hide, helping her shrink. At first, she believed he loved her. She tried harder, wore darker clothes, stood behind others in photos, avoided mirrors. But each day, a tiny piece of her dissolved, and she had let it. She let love become a quiet cage. Now in this crowded hall, she realized how small she had become, how invisible, and still a stubborn thought whispered in her. "I used to be more than this. I used to laugh without asking permission." Sasha looked up again. The wedding was happening around her. People were smiling, dancing, celebrating. She was miles away, behind a potted plant and a lifetime of unspoken hurt. But even caged birds remember what it feels like to fly, even if they haven't yet. Sasha, the voice startled her. She blinked, turned. Caleb tall, warm-eyed, and nothing like his brother. He stood with a small plate in hand, a frown forming as he looked at her. "Why are you sitting here?" he asked, glancing around like someone had made a mistake. "Your family," Sasha swallowed. "Liam said, he said it'd be better." Caleb's jaw clenched. "Better for who?" He crouched beside her chair, leveling his voice. "You helped Mom with the flower arrangements, right? She told me how you stayed late. Twice." Sasha gave a small nod, surprised he even knew. "You did all the RSVP tracking, too. That's what kept things organized. I've heard your name from everyone but Liam." Her eyes welled up. She looked down quickly. Caleb placed the plate gently on her lap. "Here. I saw you hadn't eaten. These are from the bridal table." She hesitated, then took a bite. She hadn't realized how empty it was. He smiled. "That dress suits you, by the way. You've always had good taste." She tried to respond, but her voice caught. Caleb didn't press. He simply stood, adjusting his cufflinks. "You don't belong in a corner, Sasha, just so you know." Then he was gone, melting into the crowd. But his words stayed behind, pulsing like a heartbeat. Later that evening, Sasha found herself in the kitchen. The clink of spoons, the hiss of simmering sauces, the low murmur of staff. This was a world she understood. Behind the scenes, away from whispers and stares, she could breathe. "Ma'am," a young caterer asked. "Sorry, are you lost?" Sasha smiled faintly. "No, I'm just here." A pause, then she stepped forward. "That lamb needs more rosemary, and the salad dressing's too sweet. Try a squeeze of lemon." The chef blinked. "You cook?" "Sometimes," she said, modest. He nodded, impressed. "We're running behind. You want a taste test?" And so she did. By the time dessert was plated, she'd tested every course. She wiped her hands on a napkin, cheeks flushed, not from shame, but from purpose. "You sure you're not a professional?" one staffer asked with a grin. "No," Sasha said. "But I used to dream of opening a cafe once." Used to, before she started shrinking herself to fit someone else's mold. She stepped out of the kitchen, the air warmer now. She heard laughter again, but this time it didn't feel like a weapon. Caleb spotted her from across the room, raised a glass in her direction, subtle, deliberate. And Liam, still busy playing charming host, still not looking her way, but it didn't matter. Night came heavy and quiet. Sasha sat on the balcony of the guest room, staring into the dark garden below. The house buzzed inside, voices, glasses clinking, footsteps up and down the stairs. But out here, it was just wind and space. Liam hadn't said a word to her since they left the reception. He hadn't needed to. His silence was as sharp as anything he'd ever said. She thought she'd cry. That used to be her way, but nothing came. Just stillness. In the hush, something settled in her bones. Not anger, not sadness, but the dull weight of being tired. Tired of dimming, shrinking, tiptoeing. It was strange how clarity never came with fireworks. Sometimes it arrived like a quiet guest. She crossed her arms, pulling the shawl closer. For once, she didn't wonder what Liam thought. She didn't even care if he noticed she was gone. The wind brushed her cheek gently as if to say, "You don't have to stay where you are not seen." The next morning, the kitchen at the family house was in chaos. Burnt toast, spilled tea, and someone yelling about the wrong kind of rice. Sasha didn't mean to step in, but when she did, no one stopped her. She adjusted pots, tasted sauces, gave firm but calm instructions. Her voice surprised even her. Measured, steady, confident. No one questioned her. Caleb passed by and paused, watching the way everyone listened when she spoke. "You missed your calling," he said. She gave a small smile but kept stirring the pot. There was something oddly healing about being useful. Later, the chef leaned in and whispered, "You're the reason dinner won't be a disaster." She didn't reply, but inside something warm began to rise. Not pride, not quite, just peace. They always told her to stay out of the way, but today the meal had her fingerprints all over it, and no one was turning her away. Because even a tree no one watered will grow toward the light when it finds its chance. The women gathered in the fitting room for final alterations. There was laughter, noise, perfume in the air, but Sasha stayed quiet, seated until they called her. Her dress had arrived late. She hadn't even seen herself in it yet. When she stepped behind the curtain and the seamstress zipped it up, she hesitated before facing the mirror. Then she turned. It fit perfectly. No squeezing, no hiding. The fabric hugged her in the right places and let her breathe in the rest. She didn't look smaller or different. She looked like herself, but standing taller. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. When she walked out, the room fell still. A few women glanced over, murmured low compliments. Someone nodded with approval. Sasha didn't fish for more. She just sat back down, dress flowing gently over her knees. No need for statements or permission. She knew the truth now. Even when they pretend not to see, beauty cannot be ignored forever. It speaks for itself. Quiet, steady, undeniable. The morning of the wedding, Sasha was already dressed, hair done, face soft with light makeup. She stood by the window watching the groom's car pull in when Liam walked into the room behind her. He looked at her dress, said nothing for a moment. Then, "You're really wearing that?" She turned slowly. "Yes." His mouth tightened. "You'll stand out. It's Caleb's day, not yours." Her chest rose once. "I'm not here to take the spotlight. I'm here because I belong." His eyes narrowed. "You're always so sensitive." She didn't answer. He adjusted his tie in the mirror. "Just don't cause a scene." "You mean don't be noticed," she said quietly. He paused. For a moment he looked like he might argue, defend, apologize. But he didn't. He just left. And Sasha stood still, looking at herself in the mirror again. She smoothed her dress, fixed one earring, and walked toward the door. Because when you've been buried long enough, even silence feels like noise. And sometimes silence is all the answer you need. The ceremony began with music and whispers. Chairs shifted, phones flashed. Sasha sat alone toward the middle now, not hidden but still not quite with the family. That was fine. She didn't need a front row seat to prove she mattered. As the bride walked down the aisle, everyone rose. Sasha stood too, hands calm, face composed. Her dress caught the light, soft, strong, graceful. Someone nearby glanced her way, did a double take. Liam stood at the altar beside his brother. Caleb looked over the heads of guests, found her in the crowd. His eyes held something steady, respect, gratitude. She gave a tiny nod. Around her, love filled the air, but Sasha didn't look for it outside anymore. She simply stood still, as steady as stone, as clear as glass. Because sometimes the loudest voice is the one that doesn't have to speak at all. The reception hall gleamed with laughter and soft lighting. Glasses clinked, shoes tapped. Guests took their seats ready for the speeches. Caleb stood at the mic, calm, confident, not rehearsed, just honest. "I want to thank someone who held this wedding together without being in any of the photos. Someone who didn't just show up, but carried it." He paused, eyes turned. "Sasha," he said. She froze, fork midair. "Sasha chose the flowers, managed the RSVPs, rescued the caterers, twice. And when things went wrong, she fixed them with patience none of us deserved." The crowd murmured, then clapped. First polite, then loud. A few even stood. Sasha didn't move. She didn't smile wide or put a hand to her chest. She just nodded. A slow, quiet nod. But the room had already shifted. Where there was silence, there was now weight. Where there was invisibility, there was now light. And in the corner of her eye, she saw Liam, sitting frozen. They came slowly at first. A woman in gold offered a gentle hug. I didn't know, I should have. You moved like someone holding everything together. Then a young man. The table placements. Was that you? My wife was so happy. Sasha nodded. Each thank you felt strange, like water on dry skin. More people gathered, asking questions, giving compliments. Some even looked apologetic, but she didn't need their guilt. She didn't need their surprise. She needed nothing from them, really. This wasn't about being celebrated. It was about being seen. She made her way to the drink table, poured water, took a breath. A child bumped into her. She steadied the glass without spilling a drop. Even that, a small thing, felt like balance, the kind she'd been craving. From across the room, she met Caleb's eyes. He gave a respectful nod. Liam was beside him, stiff, quiet, eyes on her now in a way they hadn't been in years. Liam found her just outside the hall near the flower arch. The air was cooler now and quieter. He approached slow, like someone nearing a cliff's edge. I didn't expect that, he said. She didn't answer. I didn't know people would respond like that. Still no response, he tried again. You look nice today, like confident. A pause. Sasha turned slightly just enough to look at him. I always look like this. You just didn't look long enough. His face twitched. That's not fair. She raised an eyebrow. Isn't it? Liam let the silence settle. I didn't think it mattered. Where you sat, what you wore. I just wanted things simple. She smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was simple, she said. You made sure of that. He opened his mouth, closed it. His shoulders slumped. Regret hung in the air, thick and useless. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said finally. I don't need to, she replied. Then she turned back toward the hall. Because sometimes regret comes too late, and no amount of sorry makes a woman unsee the moment she became visible again. The music was softer now as couples danced. Sasha sat near the edge of the room, sipping a small glass of juice. Caleb walked over and sat beside her. No fanfare. Was that too much? He asked. No, she said. It was the truth. He nodded. They didn't need to say more. Across the floor, Liam stood alone. A few guests passed him with small talk, but his shoulders sagged beneath the weight of something heavier than embarrassment. Sasha didn't pity him. She simply saw him now as a man who hadn't known what to do with a woman who refused to stay small. Caleb stood and offered his hand, playful. Dance? She hesitated, then stood without taking his hand. I'll walk instead, she said. He nodded again, understanding without question, and she did. One step, past the tables, past the whispers, past everything she had ever tried to hide from.